We are going to talk about the schedule. That way we have it in film. Well, some things I will have to charge you for, but some things I'm not charging you for.
Okay. Well, I know you charge me for most of it, but
Yeah.
like
You
if I don't
can,
like it, you're not charging me. But even
but you
I
love
like
everything.
I like it better after you don't charge me.
Yeah.
Like that. Big,
You're like, I really like it
that
now.
big piece downstairs.
Now you really like it. You're like, it's beautiful.
It's nice.
I don't think he likes that clown table with or without the charge.
What clown
The one
table?
that looks like clown pants.
The white one with the gold
balls.
knobs on it.
It looks
Well-
like clown pants.
Yeah, that just doesn't fit.
But not like cheap
Alexa
clown
really
pants,
love it.
But like the clown that owns the business.
See, I will say this. The challenge, the biggest challenge with him and her is, and I was saying this to someone this morning, is that I want to make him happy and I want to make her happy. And I do know both of them. So it's like to marry what he likes and what she likes. That is success for me. That she will love it and he will love it. Like, it's important to me that, because they do have very different styles.
We do. Yeah.
I mean,
She's very feminine, her taste.
she's very feminine, very contemporary.
Yep.
You are very manly.
I like a mixture, you know.
And you, yeah,
Blend. Yeah. And you've done a really good job of blending here. You really have.
thank you.
First when I saw so much light colored furniture, I was disappointed. But you've tied it all together. Done a great job.
Thank you, Mike. I mean, that is and I think Alexa didn't want anything to be super dark. And she wanted to be, but she also, it's super important for Alexa that you're happy. And I think ultimate, she is very selfless when it comes to Mike.
Sure.
She'd rather be unhappy than him being unhappy. And I'm serious about that.
Yeah.
I picked up on that.
She would rather suck it up, and if she don't like it and he likes it, she'll be like, okay, at least he likes it.
Yeah. It's true.
She would. So, but that is the biggest challenge. Sometimes designers make the mistake to think they're gonna please the wife and don't care about the husband, and in the end, the husband is the one is paying.
But I also think it goes the other way, not just as interior designer, but like as a builder. I think that I've seen a lot of guys that focus on the husbands because maybe they're paying for everything.
Yeah.
And like that's a mistake.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a big mistake.
yeah.
So
Well, I have friends that are real estate agents and selling high-end houses. The wives are the ones that usually primarily make the decision. Like,
Right.
I love this house. I don't want to look any further.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. Like, the wife is the one that will fall in love with the kitchen or the bathrooms, and it will nag the husband until she get it.
Yeah. True.
Or nag the husband to not get it. But yeah, it goes, I can see your point, like husbands and builders like to please the husbands and designers.
Yeah, I think it depends on the personality. I think there's some guys that just lean that way, and I think that's a mistake. But especially as a builder, because it's also, I mean, it can be a boys' club.
Yeah.
And
Oh, it is a boys' club.
It is a boys' club, and you run into like chauvinism, although I think it's be a thing.
It is a thing. Oh, I know.
And you did know.
I do
You
know.
handle it well.
That I do know.
You can put people in their place.
Well, I'm curious to know,
At least I
how
try.
did you and Tony work together on the home that you built?
Question.
That is a good question because
Yeah, you
I
know
do-
Tony's going to see this conversation.
I
so-
do have a very strong personality.
No.
No. No. And it takes a real man to be married to me. I will say that because without feeling less. And Tony doesn't feel less. He really doesn't. And I really do have a strong personality and I cannot help it. And I try, believe it or not, to be mindful of other people's feelings and not trying to be like, I do a pep talk to myself, like to nudge my personality a little bit because I can come across pretty strong. So when it came to our house, I think Tony does trust me though.
Well, you can come across strong, but you can also be real receptive in a I'm not going to say sneaking way, but in a way that it doesn't seem to be so aggressive. But it's just like I told you, I would buy the rugs. And he said, "Oh, that's great. Just what you want. But let me look at it before you buy it."
Yeah.
Which I was going to do that anyway.
Because I want to make sure, like, like we have got so far, I want to make sure that everything goes perfect. But I still thinking of the greatness of the project.
Right.
Like I really money is important, but the greatness of the project overall is more important.
Yeah, and I think you get to this point in the project, and it's always painful. You're tired of spending money, and there's things that are taking longer, and those things. I think it happens in any project, and
It does.
I think that, and not to have any excuse, but you want you want to be able to see through that and make sure that you finish the project the way it needs to be finished,
Right.
and not just give up,
Correct.
because that could sour the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. And I think when it comes to the end, like you said, everybody's aggravated. Everybody is tired. And the homeowners are always exhausted of spending money. It doesn't matter how much money you have or how little money you have. At some point, you're like, I'm done. This is it.
Yeah, and it's hard to do that on a house like this because when you start it, you know what you have in your mind that you want. You're anticipating what the house will look like when you finish, and you don't want to shortcut yourself and getting so close to being through. And you just can't cut off the money. You say, okay, let's finish it.
You're very smart on that because sometimes I argue or have conversations, especially with the husbands, when it comes to the budget. And it's like you already have a $6 million project and you're so invested, and now you're just going to fall short, which is going to make the whole investment fall short as well.
True.
I mean, and I get it, like the last 20,000, 15,000 for this, or like believe me, I get it. But it's necessary, and you're super smart about that. I mean, I will say, like, you push back and wait, and then, I mean, you're very smart about, like, following through.
You are. Yeah.
Well, this project obviously is going over budget, and it never crossed my mind to say cut it off. No more on the furniture, no more on some of the accessories we have here, because that's what gives you the finished project. So.
One thing that I think this project came so over budget per se in the building aspect was because when he priced the house, none of the finishes were picked up. If you want a super realistic budget, you have to, and you did it.
I've realized that on this project. You mentioned to me before, like right now we're putting together plans for another house in Florida, and before I get the bids on it, I want you to look at the plans and make your suggestions.
And we got to make sure we know what materials at the very least we're going to use in the kitchen and in the bathrooms, in the lighting and the plumbing, because we don't want to surprise them then, and you're like, the builder give you $60,000 for a tile, and your tile package and then being $200,000. It's kind of not the builder's fault.
Well, and not even the material. Like, you can give allotments for material, but even on the labor end of it, it's not like these can lights. They look awesome and they're really cool, but they were harder for the drywall guys. They were harder for the electricians. So like it adds, and like they really are awesome. But especially if you know that going into it, you know what light fixtures we're going to use, how those are going to be installed, how much low voltage we're really going to do, the tile. It's
How involved it's going to be.
How involved the tile is with all those accents. Now you walk in those showers, and there's nothing that I can think of to compare those showers to. But that changes the installer's price, and so on and so on. Like, it happens like that.
Having those visual boards and having all the finishes picked up before is so crucial for pricing. And at that point, a builder have no reason to be like, I'm over budget.
Yeah, if you have all the information, absolutely. I think in this day and time, I think prices are still very volatile, and quotes don't last more than 30 days mostly right now. But so you've got that aspect of it with inflation. But yeah, the most information you have, But it's also hard because then you're setting a realistic expectation of what the house is going to cost, and you run the risk of losing the job
I agree with
because
that.
the client doesn't want to spend it up front. It's like I'm doing a project right now, and I priced it one way, and we had to back down several times, but I built for them before. I knew what they wanted. I knew what their taste was. I knew they didn't do anything halfway, and now it's to where I thought it would be. And so you just you want to say, I wish you would just I knew you were going to do that, and it's great because it's going to be beautiful. But that's also that happens.
Yeah, that is. But at the very least, I feel like you can create a reputation around yourself to, at the very least, to be honest. And people will, because those homeowners that you're talking about, they shut you down and they say to Zach, this is too much money, we're not spending that. And then he went back to the drawing board. They lost 6 months of more back and forth.
Yeah.
And then now, when they went back to the original expectations, I think it makes them look good because...
Oh yeah, this product that he's built here, this house, is the best advertisement you can have. Just like the George's house next door is the one that we looked at that convinced us that you were the guy that we wanted to build a house.
Well, I'm excited to show this house.
And Mike, the George's house is a beautiful home, but this is 10x compared to that. And it's not because you set yourself to be 10x from their house. This is just you and Alexa. This is what you love.
Yeah, it's definitely not about you just went over and above what they did. It's just your taste, flair, your push and flair and ideas. And you guys let me do some cool stuff as far as you let me go a little overboard with some of the low voltage lighting, and I got to kind of do some stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, let's do that. And it really makes a difference.
Makes a difference.
Yeah.
I always said that building a house, a beautiful home, is not an interior designer, it's not the builder, it's not the architect. It's teamwork.
Combination.
And if you have a team that is willing to work together for the better of the house, then you're lucky. Because it will happen and it will be beautiful. If it's an ego, if it becomes an ego thing that the builder is right, the designer is pulling the same weight or the architect, then it's a failure.
I think you have to have a mutual respect for each other and know that you don't pull off a house like this without each other.
Correct.
And also, you have strengths, I have strengths. And no matter how frustrated we could get at each other, I still hugely respect what you do.
Yeah, and the same.
Yeah, and so, but again, it's always frustrating this end of the project. And so I don't think I've ever not had some flare up with somebody on the end of a project like this for whatever reason.
At the end of the day, is teamwork.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I think for being a remote job,
Probably the biggest problem I've had with the project is just being patient. I anticipated it taking us, 2 years, maybe 18 months, 2 years, we discussed. But this house is a lot more than what we projected that we were going to build after we got started with, with getting you involved and so a lot of the things that you suggest we do. It's a lot more involved than the 2-year projection that I thought it would be.
Yeah, we're over that. I think we're right at the 2-year mark as far as foundation.
Yeah.
But that wasn't counting digging and laying it out and getting power in, those kind of things. Right. So yeah, it definitely did. We had delays and there's things that took longer and there's things that we had to pivot on. And so, but at the end of the day, when this house is done, you're not going to think, oh, that took too long.
You're going to forget. And that's why it's so important to go all the way to the finish line, no matter what. Because if you live in a beautiful home and is well built, then you will forget. Immediately, when your wife crossed that door and your kids and they fall in love with the house and everything, then all the pain was worth it.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah. But also, to be able to build this house, thanks for letting us build it.
I agree with that.
And I know that there's still some things to do, and there may be still some pain points at some point. But thanks for trusting us to build this house. Because I know, for me, I love doing it. Love doing these houses, and they're just fun. They're never the same. The challenges are frustrating, but also fun. Like it's not boring.
Because we love what we do.
You love what you do, yeah.
I agree with Zach on that. And I'm also very appreciative that you let me be part of the team. I think it has been great, even if it's like this far away and we all have to, run away from our families time to time to come here. I think it has been an amazing experience. And I have learned a ton from being next to Zach building in Montana.
It's your first Montana project, right?
It's my first Montana project because I will do more work. I'm like set to. I think it's beautiful to do something different also.
Yeah.
Well, and for me, like those challenges are also kind of part of the reason I enjoy it, because it's not like nothing's ever the same. There's always some weird thing you got to deal with.
Yeah.
Whether it's the weather, people, whatever.
Yeah. The weather here is something for sure. For sure.
In Florida where we live, you don't have to contend with the weather like you do here. You have a window here that you just can't hardly do anything,
Right.
because the weather's so cold and you just can't do it.
Well, and you literally get to a point where you're shut off from dirt work and concrete, like done, like you can't. So, and even carpentry, there's days you can't work because it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You're just wasting time. The guys are freezing, whatever it is. The machines don't work.
I mean, you just said the weather is beautiful today, right? Like for you guys, this is like perfect. Like no, it's not cold
This morning, this is a great temperature.
so it's a great temperature.
This morning the weather was great.
I think one of the things that I found more challenging for you here is the labor pool. I used to complain, and I don't think I'm going to complain anymore about Florida because they come at 9, they go to lunch at 11, they come back like 12-ish, 1-ish, and then they leave at 3.
Yeah, and
That's 5 hours.
there's a lot of people that work to recreate. I mean, I'm fairly ambitious. You guys are ambitious, and so, but some people they do just want to be with their families and they want to do their activities and all that stuff.
We want to be with our
Or
families.
they
Yeah.
do. But it is hard to push some. But some of them, but also as far as the good thing about a lot of Montana is they don't care like who you are, what you think, like they're who they are. And that can be frustrating when you're like pushing them and wanting them to like get stuff done. But then on the other hand, like you don't feel like you have to prove yourself to a lot of people because there's no keeping up with the Joneses. And most people do come here and live here to recreate and enjoy the outdoors.
Yeah.
Plus, when you get 1 million people in the whole state, and then you subtract the skilled labor force, and then you subtract the skilled labor force that I can trust on a house like this, and then I can they know what I expect, what my clients expect, so it gets even smaller. And so it is a challenge.
It's slim pickings.
It's a challenge.
No doubt.
Because you have a team that you are super proud of it, and it's
Yeah. And I am I get frustrated with some of them, but I am protective of my people.
Yeah. You should be. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, because I don't do this.
I mean, you cannot do it without them.
No, at all. But yeah, I mean, that definitely has its challenges.
Yeah.
You don't have the amount of people. It's like an import state. Everything has to be shipped in. You're at the mercy of trucks come through. It's not, even when I was in Nashville, I mean, it's a hub for 3 or 4 interstates that everything comes through.
It's crazy because the FedEx guy is supposed to bring the window treatment today, the panels. And he called and said he wasn't coming because he was afraid of the weather.
Oh, wow.
Some of that I still don't understand. Like I understand.
But this is like the second challenge we have with men saying they're afraid of the weather. I'm going to have to do it another day.
And it is up on this hill. Like it's a different weather system than Great Falls. And there's a lot of people that like this is so far out. I mean, a lot of guys, they have so much work in town. It's all work to them. Whether they're doing a $40 million house or a $600,000 house, like it's work to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a challenge. But yeah, we had delivery issues are definitely a thing.
I mean, I'm like, I thought the weather was good today.
Or I've had subs. I went through 3 painters on this house 3 drywall guys in this house. And then gutter guys, one guy came out that was supposed to be promising. He just looked at it and said,
No.
no, thank you. He basically was like, no, I'm good.
This is too big. This is too much money. I don't want to do this.
Well, he just didn't want to do the work. He's like, it's too big. I don't want to deal with it. I don't have time for it. I'd rather just go do a small job. But then I have had some guys that were overwhelmed or intimidated by the finish level and the stuff that they need to do. And they're just like, no, like that island downstairs just refused to do what you want to do. So I got to pivot to someone else.
Well, those people refuse to do anything in this island or in any other island from the beginning. The crazy thing about that is we send them the instructions. They had the instructions. She answered yes and acknowledged it. I don't understand what the disconnect is.
I will say, in some of that, the lesson that I've learned is you've got some subs, you have to know their limitations and you have to know what they're good at and what they can do. And though they can do a certain type of house, but they can't go to that next level. And so it's on me to know what of my people can do it. And I learned that with them on this one, that if you get to a certain level, I got to pivot to someone else because they won't do it. And it's not that they're bad at their job. They just, I guess for them, they either have enough work, what they do, they can come in and make enough money and do it in a timely manner, and they don't want to put that much time into it. So
They were, I think they were okay. I wasn't impressed with their work in the kitchen, or not super impressed.
yeah, and they got some tweaks, but overall, that stuff is a challenge. I mean, there's also only small pockets of these type houses in the whole state. And, and like you get into Big Sky and Bozeman, there's certain builders that build there and they have their specific subs. And a lot of them have gone in and bought up the electricians and the HVAC and they just control it all. So even if you wanted to build in Big Sky, like wouldn't be easy to get in.
But I was talking to your towel guy, which I actually think he is your best sub. And I say that to Mike and I said that to you before. I think he has the most cooperation, skill.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Great.
He didn't back away from it.
Construction manners.
And he told me after the fact. I talked to him a couple weeks ago, and he was like, he's like, he was intimidated by it. But I was like, that's because you've got the fortitude to just push through. And I said, I knew you could do it.
He called me. He's the only sub that will call me at 6 p.m. and he will be here.
Because they come out of Bozeman.
He will be here working in the night.
But they come out of Bozeman and they work crazy hours.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you make money.
Want to get through. Yeah.
And that's how you make money. You get in, get it done, we'll go away.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
But he told me that, and he works in Big Sky a lot, that this home has, he said like the best, the material in your bathrooms is the best that he has worked with.
Wow.
Yeah, he said he's never done a tile job with this level of
Selection.
and selection. Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot to be said because he's really, really good.
Yeah. And those houses aren't any nicer. And they're throwing stupid money at it. And they're getting charged stupid money to build them. So, this house is every bit worthy of those.
Oh, yeah.
Every bit.
Oh, yeah. It's so pretty. It is so pretty. You did a great job building it. I know it has taken longer than what Mike wants and what I want, but I think it's well built.
Well, you take everything in consideration, just like you explained your subs, and then so many of these subcontractors come look at it and say, I don't want anything to do with it. So you're limited to who you can have and how many subs you can have out here. So it's understandable why it's taking so long.
Well, and I appreciate the patience, but it's a beautiful house.
Yep.
It is.
Yep.
Proud of it.
Yeah.
Very proud of it.
And you've done a great job, not just like the design, but you do a really good job at marrying what Mike and Alexa want and not push what you want. A lot of interior designers, they view themselves as artists and they only want to push what they think it should look like, and who cares what the client really, really wants?
Right,
Because they don't
right.
know. And you don't want me. You haven't wanted me to do anything that's like crazy impractical. Like
Right.
hardwood into a curbless shower.
Yeah.
Stuff that, I've had that recommended.
Yeah.
And so, like, you have a practical sense that you've never asked me to do something that I'm like, that is a terrible idea, and that's going to be a maintenance nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, I try not to, and I try to use all the knowledge that I have acquired through the years,
Well, that's
put it
an
in
advantage.
practice.
And you working with a contractor, you have so much construction knowledge. You've been involved in it, obviously, and you know a lot of the things that he faces in construction and the difficulty of it.
Right, right.
Yeah. And as a builder, I enjoy figuring out how you think, because when I can't get somebody on the phone and I got to make a decision, like, I'm not just putting something in some random place. Like, I'm like, how would the designer think? What's the big picture?
He goes like, what would she do?
I just think it's a disservice when I think all builders should like study the interior designers that they work for and at least figure out how they think, because it really does help you with your decisions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And you're great at it, too. I mean, you really are. For me, it's super important. I mean, not just with Mike and Alexa, but it's super important to do what the client wants, because it's the client's money. It's not my money.
It's your house.
I'm not going to live in there. And I want them, when they're in that house, to sit in the sofas or enjoy what it has been created for them, and not think like, oh God, why would I let her do that? Because, I mean, a lot of clients say those things to you. It's like, well, I let my designer do that before, and I mean, it was a disaster. So I never want to be me
One of those,
doing something. Now the challenge comes to marry what the husband and the wife wants, and find a happy median.
But for your first mountain house.
Not too bad, not too shabby, right?
Not too shabby, Marisol.
Thank you.
Well, Marisol, I like the your idea of presenting this to Alexa after it's completely finished. She's going to be really excited and surprised, I think.
Well, I think she's going to be so. I think this house is to a point that you love it. It has character. It's not like feminine, but I also think she's going to walk in here and she's going to love it.
Right.
She is very hard.
No doubt in my mind, she's going to be really proud.
It's very, very hard too.
In the beginning, she, picking out things like she picked out the green in the kitchen.
Yep.
And it's different, but I wasn't really sure about it. But it turned out amazing.
But you also, I mean, that's the good thing about you and Alexa, that as much as I know, and you're harder, she's more given, but you're also very given on her. Like, as some things that I know, like, hell no, you will say yes to anyone. Yeah. But if she asks, then you will do it.
Yeah.
Like the green cabinets.
Yeah.
Probably would have shut me down if it was my idea. Be like, no.
But they look awesome.
They look fabulous, yeah. They do.
I was somewhat leery of the wallpapering you were going to do throughout the house. I don't know why. I guess I'd seen some of the wallpapering you did in the Florida remodeling of the house I had in Florida, and that was a lot. It stood out a lot more colorful than what you've done here. And I was concerned that that's what you were doing here, but you have it. You've got a perfect match of the wallpaper with the rest of the house. It's amazing.
Well, thank you, Mike. I think the house in Florida, we were gonna flip it. We wanted to be a little bit more fun. Right. I mean, you were done with it. I think every project need to be approached as what the project is. This is your home, and again, I mean, I know I wanted to push it in like the laundry room, and we end up not doing it. But I want to be I was very mindful, and it's very important to me that you were happy. I don't want just Alexa to be happy. I want you to be happy and love it, and sit in here and be like, you know what? I love this. And be proud of it.
Beautiful. Zach, the home in Florida that she remodeled, there was a fireplace every bit as large as this one over here.
Okay.
Probably went higher than this one to the ceiling.
Okay.
It was solid gray stone. And she started tearing that out. And I thought, my God, what is she going to do? She came back with this beautiful white. What was that?
It was natural stone, something similar. I mean, it is water jet, so it did have like waves in it. I mean, it was gorgeous
Yeah, it was.
too.
Changed the
Gorgeous.
whole character of that home.
Oh, that is a huge focal point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we are. I mean, we didn't want to go like crazy in the budget, so we kept the countertops. So we trying to marry the countertops into the rest of the finishes. You know, the house in Florida are smaller. His house is big, but it's like one level. It's 3 levels. So everything in that level was like open to, you could see everything.
Yeah. I mean, this house is a big footprint.
For sure.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It's kind of like ideal if I ever have enough money to buy a huge parcel of land. I love the way this house is laid out. I love the fact that the kitchen is the heart. And then it goes into the family room, and it also have the formal living room.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like perfect.
No, it's a really, really good layout.
The layout is fabulous.
It is.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna save a screenshot of this layout in my hard pictures in my phone, so maybe I can build it one day.
You should.
Oh, I am. It's already there.
Okay.
We did it.
All right.
All right.
All right.
You guys survived.